Is this new Mean Girls fetch? Well, let's find out. So Mean Girls is a new musical that's based off the Broadway musical of the same name, which was based on the 2004 movie Mean Girls, which was in turn based on a book. A lot of adaptations going on here. In the film, we follow a character named Cady Heron, portrayed by Angry Rice, who moves with her mother, portrayed by Jenna Fischer, from their home in Canada to a brand new place. Cady goes to a brand new school, and she becomes an incident with this group of women called the Plastics, which is this A-list group of women. And soon, unfortunately, Cady Heron makes a very bad mistake of falling for the ex-boyfriend from the Plastics lead alpha, Regina George. Alrighty guys, so let's get into Mean Girls.
Excellent!
The 2004 Mean Girls is one of my favorite movies of the 2000s. That movie is, to say the least, a classic of the 2000s. That movie is, well, fetch. And I don't care if fetch is ever gonna happen, I'm still gonna say that movie is fucking fetch. I think this was probably in the mid-2010s. Mean Girls was then adapted into the Broadway musical, which I have not seen, though I have heard great things. The thought of adapting a musical from a Broadway musical from a movie which the musical was adapted from in the first place, I thought was very unnecessary, and the movie just did not look that good. And also, for the cherry on top, in case if y'all haven't noticed this, what month are we in? Which, if you guys are very familiar with the film world, January is usually the dumping ground for some pretty bad, if not pretty mediocre films. I didn't really have a lot of expectations or a lot of high hopes for this one, and I'll be damned when I say this. This movie was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Like, this movie actually kind of surprised me. The performances really, for the most part, were all really, really good. Angry Rice as Cady Heron, I thought, did a very good interpretation of Cady, and I really liked that Angry Rice wasn't trying to do an imitation of Lindsay Lohan. I should warn you all right now, and I do want to apologize right now in advance, because there will be a lot of comparing, because here's the thing, like I mentioned earlier, this musical is based on the Broadway play, which was in turn based on, well, the 2004 film. So doing the comparisons, it's unavoidable, it's inevitable, so I do apologize if there's a lot of comparisons here. However, if you want to talk about the scene stealer, Auli'i Cravalho, to which I do apologize if I butchered her name, was fantastic in this movie. Not just in terms of her acting, but in terms of her singing. My god. Easily, she has, without a doubt, the best musical number of the entire film, which, if I was not mistaken, it looked like it was shot in one take, which was, by the way, geniusly choreographed. Tina Fey returns, and I thought she was once again brilliant, along with Tim Meadows, who, his dry delivery is absolutely hilarious in the film. Like, he has a great line that had me laughing in stitches. Like, I was dying, I was laughing so hard. This new Mean Girls is actually a musical, and here's what I can say about the musical numbers. The musical numbers in this movie were quite good. As a matter of fact, they're actually choreographed, not only very well executed, but they were very full of style and had a lot of flash, a lot of pizzazz, and the choreography of all the musical numbers was really quite brilliant. I do have more to say about this later on, which you guys can imagine as my cons, but something in particular that I do want to praise with the storytelling this time around is that how they updated for today's generation. What is one thing in particular that has changed, I mean the biggest change since the 2000s version of Mean Girls? The implementation of social media. And I thought that how they implemented social media and how things go around in terms of talk of new things happening at school, I thought that how they added social media in this version of Mean Girls, there was certainly a smart update. In terms of the cinematography, this movie is a colorful and a flashy look. I can only imagine how much they would bounce and how great it would look in a 4K HDR screen. This would look incredible.
Well, that's just fucking great!
Is this new Mean Girls gonna be so fetch with the 2004 film? Unfortunately, I don't think so. One of my biggest issues with this movie, as a matter of fact, I think my biggest issue with this movie is that this musical is, it's essentially the same movie as the 2004 film. I mean, are there differences from this movie and the 2004 film? absolutely is, but really, if you look at the overall structure, the overall DNA, like Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3, the overall storytelling of this Mean Girls, it's pretty much, and I hate to say this, guys, minus some key differences, what you're getting here is essentially, well, the same movie as the 2004 film. And they do change a couple of things, but the changes that they do have in this movie, I feel like didn't quite work for this movie. There are some characters in this movie comparing this movie to the 2004 film that didn't quite have the arc. Since Tina Fey also wrote this movie, I was kind of surprised that the character arcs weren't really fleshed out in this movie. There were just some emotional moments in this movie that didn't have that same impact as I was hoping for. And I feel like I'm going to be the minority for this one because people have been praising her. Honest to God, too, guys. Renee Rapp as Regina George just didn't do it for me. Rachel McAdams just had this bite. She just had this feel, and she had this overall tone the way she delivered Regina George. Renee Rapp in the 2024 film didn't have that same bite. She didn't have that same feel. While I am really glad that Renee Rapp didn't imitate Rachel McAdams the same way that Angry Rice didn't imitate Lindsay Lohan, Renee Rapp here just didn't have the bite for the alpha of the plastics as I was hoping for. Besides two numbers, the musical numbers just weren't that memorable. I mean, there were some numbers that they looked really, really cool, but the other numbers just weren't that memorable. This movie is nearly a 2-hour musical. And I gotta admit to you guys, I think that Mean Girls 2024 could have been like maybe 10 to 15 minutes shorter. Now, was Mean Girls boring per se? No. But at the same time, could the movie have been trimmed down a little bit? Absolutely yes.
And here we go.
So overall, while I definitely prefer this as a movie, the 2024 Mean Girls is a well-executed and a charming musical. The 2024 Mean Girls may not be fetch, but at the same time, this movie surprised me and it's a solid musical. All in all, I'm gonna give Mean Girls 2024 a 3 out of 5. If you guys have not seen the Broadway musical, watch the 2024 film. But if you're not a big musical fan like myself, watch the 2004 film. So comment down below and let me know. Have you guys seen the 2024 Mean Girls? And also, by the way, which version do you prefer? The musical or the 2004 film? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm also on Twitch. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links and the usernames are in the description below. I hope you enjoyed my review of the 2024 Mean Girls. If so, visit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell for my latest review goes live. If you guys want to see my previous 2 reviews, please click it right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.